All right. So I think we have heard from each candidate, and so now we will open up for questions to any of the candidates. So,
Hey, Robert, I put a question in the chat.
oh,
Um,
all right.
with a 1 minute answer to kind of keep things going. So you can ask it in any order you like.
Okay. Do you want me to ask each person, or?
Yeah, can you ask each candidate 1 minute
Okay.
answer for the question in the chat?
Okay, I'll do that. So let's see. We'll start again with Virginia Cheung. Here's the question. Visitation Valley has two elementary schools, This Valley Elementary and El Dorado. Given SFUSD fiscal situation and the population decline for public schools citywide, do you think Visitation Valley can keep both schools open? It's in your chat, and if you need to read it again, do you think Visitation Valley can keep both schools open? And so we hear from each person. 1 minute, please.
Thank you for the question. While overall enrollment across the city is going down, the population of children is actually growing on the eastern side of the city, and the southeast has the highest population of children in the city. And so I don't think it would be smart to close schools in the areas where there are the most children. We have a Head Start Child Care Center in Viz Valley, and that center is always impacted because there aren't enough slots and folks are coming from the surrounding areas. So I think it would be a better scenario to develop and add schools in the area. But the highest priority should be safety, health and safety. So we know that a lot of the buildings in this area are health hazards.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your answer. Let's see. Ansu, answer next, please.
Yeah, thanks. I actually visited both schools. El Dorado has 1/3 of the students that it can handle. It can handle 350 or so, and it has 125 or so students. And Little Viz has close to 300, somewhere between 250 and 3. So I think it is actually very smart to combine these schools and to help. And I would suggest to keep the Little Viz open, and we can have school buses that go from El Dorado to Little Viz. It's not very far away, but parents can still take their kids to the same place. Actually, I found that a number of students at El Dorado actually are interdistrict transfers because their parents actually drop them off because they work around here. They actually don't live in San Francisco. So these are some of the very interesting details for each schools that somebody needs to spend time and work on. And if it makes sense to combine them, combine them so that the remaining school has all the resources needed to serve the students.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your answer. Parag, you go next, please. 1 minute.
Sure, absolutely. So I think co-locating makes the most sense so we don't break up any school communities. We also have to keep in mind that 45% of our students in SFUSD are located in our southeast quadrant. And so if we do co-locate, it'll be critical to double down on making sure we can get our students going to these two schools or going to the one school that may be co-located. And if anything, then look at how do we continue to expand and reopen the other one. There's no reason that we should be having our children seek out charter school instead of our public schools. And we need to do better to make sure that we're providing either advanced curriculum, language immersion programs, or whatever else the community desires to make sure that we make these schools attractive.
Thank you very much, sir.
Sure, and I apologize. As mentioned previously, Pastor, I have the commitment to the Coleman Advocates that I had pre-committed to, so I'm going to drop off. I really appreciate the time. I certainly wanted to attend as long as I could. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for yours. Have a good day. All right, Min, you are next, please. Min Chang, you're on mute.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm actually going to the same event that I think Parag just left for, but I'm in the car. So as long as you can hear me, I apologize. Yeah, so as you heard me say earlier, I'm actually, I don't believe.
Uh-oh, you just went out. I don't know if you can
Schools. Yep. And I'm a very big believer, because I went to, when I went through public schools, went to community schools, so school in my neighborhood. So I really believe that's the right direction we should look at. We should actually invest in our schools, elevate our schools, right? Better manage our schools. What I didn't mention earlier is I have 35 years of experience, and I actually know how to turn around businesses. It's what I do as CEO, manage large budgets, manage assets. So I think we can guide and help the superintendent, Dr. Wayne, and his staff to actually make the right decision without closing schools. So I think it's important for us to keep those schools open, because by closing schools, there's some negative impacts, right? Just because the school may survive this year, what's to say it won't survive next? Yep. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your answer. Let's see. Jamie, if you would. Oh, you already answered the question.
No, not yet.
Okay, go ahead.
I think it's really important to just put this in the context of what's going on right now, so that folks understand that the list was supposed to come out yesterday of which schools were going to be closed. It did not come out because it was not ready. All of the considerations that folks are talking about, like transportation, school time, fiscal impact, political considerations, had not been fully vetted. And it's really important to not put out a list that is not ready and scare folks unnecessarily. But the plan is still for that list to come out in October and to be voted on by the current board, not the new folks who are not going to take office until January. So unfortunately, we will not have a vote in whether these schools close. I really hope to see from the current board that they are protecting schools in the Southeast, because the next year in 2026, there will be a transition to the zone assignment system that was supposed to be adopted back in 2021. And it's really important that when we have zones, that we protect the schools for the number of students who are in each of those areas. There's a ton of kids in Viz Valley. They deserve to go to school in a well staffed, fully funded school in their neighborhood. And so we do need to invest in and keep those schools open for the future.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I believe Laurance Lee, you're next.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of the other candidates. This is a tough thing, but in general, it's outside of our hands if it's something that is going to be voted on December. If there is still some question about which schools are going to be closed, I will fight to keep both schools open. This is definitely something where we want to have schools that are close to the neighborhoods of where the people are. And as people mentioned, there are so many kids here. What's really also important is to understand the needs of these particular schools. There are schools with full-time substitutes. There are schools with combined 4th and 5th grade classes. There are schools that are not in good physical shape, as other mentions. This is something where we have to understand that schools have to close equitably. As people mentioned, if it's 5 schools or 10 schools, 20 schools, it's going to be tough for sure. But whichever schools are still around, let's make sure we can have the money put to the students. Let's have kids be happy, be going to school. Let's address chronic absenteeism. Let's have the kids have really good teachers, and let's get them up to reading and doing math at grade level. This is how we can really keep up the enrollment.
Thank you very much. I think that's everybody. Rex, you had a question?
Yes, thank you, Robert. I mean, this question is directed to Virginia and Parag. But before that, I just wanted to get some clarification.
They're both gone.
I'm sorry.
They're both gone.
Virginia's gone too?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well. Well, they did mention that they did some extensive work with Visitation Valley. I'd like to know what those are and who they partner with, because I've actually never heard of them. And I've been there for a total of 14 years now doing this service with youth, actually youth just in 2016. But anyway, you know, I know Ansu and Laurance Lee has come to my center and asked me, you know, what I needed, where they can help, etc. So I know they're not a newbie in this. And that's not a, you know, I'm not endorsing them and any of the candidates here. And my other question is, I missed you mentioned Matt Alexander's name earlier. Was he invited, or was he not invited?
I didn't mention his name, but he was invited, and he had something else he had to do.
I got you. All right. So this Valley, I guess, in the back burner. Anyway, you know, here's a general question for all the candidates that are still here. You know, it's no secret. Our schools are at the bottom of the rung in SFUSD, and you know, I'm being, you know, I'm probably the most cynical out of the entire group here at the VVCU. Because I just don't have any more patience for failing kids. I mean, how many more generations do we need to fail? It seems to be all excuses, and you know, we're always left in the back burner. Especially consolidating schools. Well, we know that many of our families come from, you know, a very challenged household, and you know, our kids extra attention. What are you know, if you're gonna cram all these schools, you know, like consolidate El Dorado to Little Viz, what other support are you gonna have besides more unionized teachers? And because I really think that you need the school district needs additional help from the outside that's not politically driven, but rather than, you know, success for the children.
All right, so we're going to give them an opportunity to answer that question. There's only, it looks like three left, so let's go with Laurance Lee, then Ansu, then Min Chang.
Oh, Rex, you got to give us an easier question. Holy cow. Definitely, we'd love to have nonprofits and other groups help out, as well as charities to help out all the students and families. There are definitely a lot of Hispanic families that really want to have high dosage tutoring to get their kids up to grade level. The programs that you guys do at APAC and other kinds of places across the city are really welcome. And it's not just academic support, it's food support, it's mental health support. So that's what we want to have, is to make sure that we are using the school's money, the $1.3 billion budget, to help the students where they're at, and make it such that each year the students are improving their student outcome outputs, so that families will want to put the next generation of kids there, so that we can have growing enrollment, especially in the Southeast, where, as you mentioned, it's been a tough thing for so many years. It's just so tough. I remember as a kid, it was like something where I thought there'd be better improvement by now, but here we are.
Thank you very much. That's a minute. Ann, you're next.
Thanks. So the community school program, Rex, involves all sorts of wraparound services, from food, as Laurance mentioned, to dentists, doctors visit, because parents are working hard, or they don't have the resources to take care of these kinds of basic things for their children. So the school can have all sorts of services that are community services located at the school, including dentists and doctors. And after school program, I think one of the really terrible thing is that the teachers unions had not allowed academic tutoring during after school, and that is just a waste of time of the kids. You're just babysitting them, letting them play. No, use that time to do high dosage tutoring, whatever academic needs that they have. And also, as Laurance mentioned, and I completely agree, mental health services for kids, because parents are working hard. They don't have time to do this for their students, and the school district can gather the community resources to do that.
Thank you very much. Min Chang, you're next. You're on mute if you're talking, I can't tell. Min?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so sorry. Yeah, so I'm glad that that you said what you said and you asked the question. So So I think it's really important that we hold ourselves accountable, meaning both the board as well as SFUSD. And I do believe, so the good news is the fiscal crisis is actually very solvable. But we need to make some hard decisions. And actually, that list that's going to come out in a month, that's just a list. We do, as the new board members coming on board in January, because I did ask this question of SFUSD, we do have an ability to actually not close schools. So it's important that you actually know that. The other thing is, in terms of accountability, one of the things that we should do is we should have zero-based budgeting. And what that means is we should take a look at SFUSD as a board member and make sure that every single line item is actually accounted for, because there's a lot that we can do just purely on looking at central office without looking at the schools. And so as a board member, I'm committed to doing that. And I think we can find some solutions, some real solvable solutions before we have to think about closing schools, because those schools are the lifeblood of the community. I've spoken to parents, especially small schools, specialty classes, specialty programs. Those are really important. And larger schools, class sizes rather, will be detrimental to kids and so forth. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your answer. All right, so before we end the meeting, I just want to give an opportunity for others to ask questions. Going.
I have a question.
All right. Who is that?
Hi. This is
Hi.
Asipacion now Finao. So I am part of the Pacific Islander community, and one of my frustration for the survey they did for the merging closure was that it did not reach a lot of our communities. A lot of our PI parents were not able to do those, especially in low-income communities where some families don't have access to internet and things like that. How would you be able to help with that problem? Because sitting in school meetings and things like that, we have data. We have a lot of data at the district, but it's always data on families that we have already served. How are we going to be able to serve the families that are underserved, are realistically underserved?
All right, that's a great question. And let's see, we'll go with Min, you go first, and then Laurance, and then Ann. We'll go in reverse order.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, so let me just comment very quickly on the Cycle 2 resource meetings. I 100% agree with what you said, because not only did not everyone get involved in providing feedback, but the feedback that they asked for from the parents, from all of us, was really just on the criteria for selecting the schools to be closed, not on the actual schools to be closed. So we went through this whole exercise that was led, I believe, by a consulting company to really decide on the criteria for selection. It was, pretty extensive, but it's not really giving input to truly from the results perspective. So I think that to me, from a process standpoint, really isn't true involvement. The second piece is you're 100% right, which is each community is very different. We have, I think, 39 beautiful, neighborhoods and communities where 120 of our schools really sit. And it's important to do that hard work. So my view is that we need to understand the communities, understand the needs and requirements, build a school system that's actually based on those requirements. And that means really understanding how do we communicate? How do we make sure that your input is involved in the right way, right? And in a timely way, and that it's effective. That doesn't mean that we all get, everything we want, but we need to be able to at least give feedback, give input, so that the solution itself is much, much better. I mean, that is what we do in business, right? We start with the customers in mind. We work, that is the North Star. We use that as a beginning point.
Thank you very much. Laurance?
Hi, this is a really important question, and I recognize all the challenges that Pacific Islanders have, because I've been talking to you guys for years, and it's been so frustrating. There are some good things, right? As we know, there's been some language programs that helped out. At the same time, a lot of the concerns, complaints, requests are going silent. This is on former and current Board of Education commissioners and the current superintendent and the prior superintendent for not getting things done. We don't have to have been this way. So let's just do the work and help the families that are affected and give them what they want. Why are we even Board of Ed commissioners? To help the families. Let's try to get reading better and these kids happier so that we don't have chronic absenteeism. So please, I'll be there working with you, and just keep raising the bell, and I'll be your ally.
All right, thank you very much for your answer. And Sue, you're next.
Yes. So this past year, I've actually ran a school that serves a lot of low-income, monolingual, many single-parent household families and their students. And it is very challenging because many of them don't use emails. Like, as this person said, how are they going to find out you're going to have a meeting? So actually, every one of our schools should have family liaisons. These are the wonderful people who actually call, who actually see the parent during drop-off and pickup, and call them in their own language and talk to them. That's who should be reaching out to let them know of this survey and verbally asking them and collecting their answers and then giving it back. That's, I think, the best way and the only way to reach the immigrant families, the families who are very busy trying to just make their life work, many of them in the Viz Valley area. So I think it's crucial to have, and that's family liaisons should be part of the community schools too. Everyone should have them. I met the one at El Dorado Elementary. He works very hard and he just reaches out personally, and that's what it takes.
Thank you very much for your answer. All right.
Robert, I think Ryan had a question. He had his hand up.
All right. Go ahead.
Yeah, I had a question earlier with Laurance and Anne. Briefly mentioned some of the language programs available in schools that serve the Visitation Valley, as well as USC as a whole, particularly those that serve less privileged learners. With the impending school closures and consolidations, what will all of you do to support bilingual education in SFUSD?
All right. That is the question. And so let's see, Laurence, you go first, Anne second, and then Min third, please.
Brian, I'm sorry. Can you ask that last part of your question first? Because I don't want to spit too much about something that's not important.
Yeah. So, what will each of you do to preserve bilingual education programs in SFUSD with the impending school consolidations?
Yeah, that's going to be something that I've been fighting for and will continue to fight for. If people in the district are not enough Cantonese teachers, if there's not enough Mandarin teachers because there's this half grades, let's do a better job to get those teachers to market to families to make sure we have full classes. These are areas where Asians and non-Asians, mixed race people know that this is a great program, it's popular. The Asian language programs are growing in private schools. Let's make sure we are working at ways to invest, grow enrollment. So I'll be fighting to make sure that language immersion, as well as other things that are popular and needed, low high school, middle school math, are part of the way we're going to have to do things with.
Oh, I think we or he's on mute now, so I guess he's done. All right. Anne, you're next, Anne.
Sure. To be quite candid, Ryan, I think bilingual education and having those immersion programs for Viz Valley would be wrong, because what Viz Valley families need, those who are Chinese speaking, Spanish speaking, their kids need to learn English first. You can use their own language to help teach them English, but English has to be the primary goal and objective to educate these students, because their parents are not fluent English speakers, right? So the students and the parents can't help them. To be honest, those bilingual and immersion programs are for let's say Chinese or Spanish speaking families, children. There's those English fluent families, children to study a second language. That's already on top of the basics. They already know English. Their parents can help them with English, but the parents and families in this valley, they're the ones who cannot help their students, and we need to just teach them English first.
All right, thank you very much.
Sorry, I was just going to say, we do have a lot of Pacific Islander in this valley. And so to have an immersion pathway is something that our PI students need to be able to know who they are and where they come from.
Okay, hold on. We're not going to go back and forth on this one issue, and we still have to hear Min Chang's answer, please.
Hello.
You're on mute, Min. I don't know if you're talking. You're on mute. I think we lost her. All right. Well, I guess we don't have to hear her answer because she got kicked off. All right. It is 5:54, and so the most we have is 6 more minutes. Any quick questions for any of the candidates? All right. Well, I want to say thank you to everyone that has come to hear and come to speak. I want to say thank you to all the candidates. Thank you for VVCU for being here today as well. And I am really, I'm better informed than I was. I got information that I did not have, and I do appreciate it. So thank you, VVCU thanks you, and hopefully everybody have a great rest of your day.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.